This video is sponsored by Mrs. Quilty.
Today I'm going to be conquering my biggest sewing fear, stretch material. Now I have worked with stretch material a few times and it's not that scary, but I just have no understanding of how to actually work with it in a broad scope. So today I'm going to be working through a few patterns that I've had my eye on in the hope that it's going to teach me some new skills and get me more acquainted with the world of stretch sewing. I know y'all are going to laugh at me for this, but I did actually purchase an industrial cover stitch machine for this video. I know this is kind of rogue, but it was $100 on Facebook Marketplace, so I was like, why not? And you guys know that I love going all in on stuff, so here we are, forcing me to get acquainted with stretch. And if you're like, Carls, what the heck is a cover stitch machine? Don't worry, I got you. You will be familiar with the stitch. It's this stitch that you'll find on just about every single t-shirt you've ever worn. It's two parallel lines on the outside and this sort of overlocked edge on the inside. I believe the only machine that can effectively do this is the cover stitch machine.
Even though you can't actually replicate the cover stitch machine stitch, it is completely unique. You actually can get really close to it if you use a twin needle on your domestic machine. I didn't know about this needle until really recently. I would have used it if I had known about it prior to making this video, but basically it does the parallel lines on top and a zigzag stitch on the bottom, or a little lightning stitch. And it's really effective and it has a similar look. So save yourself the money, buy a $10 needle and that will do the job. You don't need a cover stitch necessarily, although it's pretty cool and it does do a really cool stitch, but I just thought I would add that.
Pretty cool. You can get domestic versions of them, you can get industrial versions of them. They are completely unnecessary for domestic sewing, but kind of fun. Anyway, here is the plan of attack for today's video. I want to get through 3 different patterns and hopefully each pattern will teach me something new about stretch sewing. The first pattern, the upcycled baby tee pattern by Share the Label on Etsy. I'm not sure how to say that, but yeah. I like this because it looks really simple and the premise is that you work with t-shirts that you already have and you upcycle them into this. Because the pattern is quite small, ideally you'll be able to fit this onto an old t-shirt or a t-shirt that's too large and give it a new life. I like that I can just use some old t-shirts for this project, so I'm not wasting any good material per se, and it looks simple, so it's my first project. The second pattern that I want to make is the off-shoulder top sewing pattern PDF by Siri Studios on Etsy. I don't know anything about this pattern maker, so we'll see what the pattern is like, but I have this cool marbly tie-dye red material and I think it would look really nice in this design, so I'm gonna give it a go. And I don't really have any tops like this in my wardrobe, like sort of more slinky, off the shoulder. I really like the ruching or like the gathering on the sides. Yeah, this is just different for me, so I want to give it a go. And the final pattern for today's video is the Roving Romper by Gracie Steele Patterns. I've had my eye on this pattern for a very long time and it looks quite delightful, so I'm looking forward to making it. I got this awesome stretchy teal material at Spotlight and I think it would make the perfect roving romper. So this is going to be my final boss of stretch sewing for this video. I've got this white swimwear lining that I'm hoping to line that piece with, and hopefully I can wear it as activewear / walking wear / going for a dip in the ocean wear. I'm hoping it's a good paddleboard romper. You know, I don't know. Got ideas. I got ideas. And those are them. Time to get into the first project, the upcycle baby tee. But before I do, I'm Carly, if we've never met before. I'm so excited that you are here. I'm a sewist here on YouTube and I love making things, so yeah. Oh, and thank you everyone for your very, very sweet congratulatory comments on my last post. I read all of the comments out to Elijah and just made him listen to them all because they're so, so kind. Oh, one last thing for real. For all of my fellow brides who are making their dresses, I'm going to compile all of the recommendations that I was given in that comment section on how to make your own dresses, corsetry, great creators to follow. I'm going to make them all into a PDF and I'm going to post it in the first video of my wedding dress making series. So if you want that information, I'm going to compile it and I'm going to give it to you. I got you. Let's make the t-shirt.
Conceptually, this pattern is a 5 out of 5 stars for me. I would never have thought of using my old t-shirts to make new ones. It's such a great use of fabric, and I was able to cut out all my pattern pieces from an old singlet, except for the sleeves. I had to use a tiny bit of scrap cotton jersey for the sleeves, but that was no fuss at all. And honestly, from constructing the pattern pieces and cutting it out and sewing it together, it was probably an hour tops. And when I made my second t-shirt, it probably took me like 30 minutes. So such a quick project and a great easy win if you're looking to getting into stretch sewing like I was. Highly, hugely recommend. Basically, I sewed up those shoulder seams, I sewed the sleeves on, and then I just closed up the side seams, and that was almost the whole project done.
Okay, that's the vibe check with sleeves and the bodice put together, which is super easy. kind of a cool fit. Now I'm just going to try and figure out the ribbing situation. I want to recycle the original ribbing, but we'll see how that goes. And then I just need to hem everything. So very simple construction wise. You know that meme of Donald Glover in Community where he's like, it's really addicting actually. What I did was I folded my long rectangle and sewed it together along this short edge. Then I folded it in half and gave it a good press. And now I'm going to divide it into 4 sections. Front and back gets a pin, and side to side gets a pin as well. And now I'm just going to match those 4 points along the center front, back, and shoulder seams of the collar. You'll see that there is more ribbing than t-shirt material, so as I sew with the overlocker, I'm just going to stretch it taut, and that will make everything line up nice and neat. I may seem fairly competent right now, but it's because I have sewn a t-shirt before. This t-shirt that I'm wearing actually. After this project, I will become very scared. Sometimes you have to start with an easy project. Give yourself a little bit of gentle parenting, you know? Get that serger going. You feel me? Bum, 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 bum. Okay. I thought I divided that up evenly, but when I got to the last quarter, there was just like so much excess. So it's kind of pulling weird there. I'm gonna do it again. Not good enough. Not good enough for me. All right, recut it with the pink fabric, repinned. Let's give it another sew. Not my neatest sewing, it's definitely a bit wonky, and I think I just need to add like 1 centimeter to this pattern piece for the collar maybe. It sits really nice, but it's just like, oh, it really has to stretch to get across the bodice. So I might just see what happens if I add a little bit more length. Also, the next collar I do, I think I'm going to baste in place before I overlock it, just because I'm not really good at sewing stretch, and you can just see it just gets wonky pretty fast. And yeah, I think that's probably a telltale sign that you made your own clothes, is if it's just kind of like, it's fine, I can do better. Time to hem. And then I'm gonna make it again. I have to make it again and see if I can improve. Oh my goodness, for sure. Okay, we're doing this thing, we're doing it. Okay, there's the parallel stitching, and then there's the overlocking. So I probably will trim this down. It's nice and stretchy. Oh wait, before I show you the finished t-shirt, I have to introduce the sponsor of today's video, which is Mrs. Quilty. Mrs. Quilty is the go-to choice for quilters. It's a subscription box for quilters with projects ranging from beginner level to advanced level, so everyone can have fun and learn new skills and techniques. Now I know you're wondering, what's inside the box? Well, inside the box is a selection of high-quality curated quilting fabrics, exclusive error-free patterns, new quilting gifts in every box. For example, my box this month came with a point turner and a heat erasable marker. Nice. And on top of all of that, the Mrs. Quilty boxes now come with video tutorials that will help you through each and every step of the process. The theme for my box this month was Book Lover Crafts, and I had so much fun making the corner bookmark project, but I'm really looking forward to making the bookmark, the book sleeve, and the book pillow. And if I still have fabric left over from all of those projects, then I'll make the monthly quilt block to add to my collection, which sounds very exciting to me. Now, if you want to join the Mrs. Quilty community of like-minded crafters, then there is a subscription link in the description of this video, and I also have a wonderful discount code for you right there as well. It's 20% off, so if that's something that interests you, please go ahead and enjoy that discount code. I hope you guys enjoy Mrs. Quilty as much as I do, and thank you so much to Mrs. Quilty for sponsoring this video. Now let me show you the finished t-shirt. Yay! Here is the finished top. It is super cute and I love the fit of it. There is definitely some very hodgepodge sewing going on. Don't look too closely at these hems. Don't look too closely at the collar. Let's not talk about it. I will improve. I absolutely love the idea of this pattern, being able to use it to upcycle garments that you're no longer really wearing. Super cool. Quick disclaimer though, if you do want to use this pattern yourself, I think there's only 4 sizes in the size grading, and the grading is quite unclear. In saying that, the actual construction of the pattern is also a little bit hodgepodge, so I would just say use at your own risk, but it's also very simple to construct, so it's not a huge disadvantage at all. Super cool pattern, super cool concept, love it. Alright, it's the next afternoon and I'm back for some more stretch sewing. I actually made another one of these baby tees last night. I took one of my favorite t-shirts, which was just kind of oversized and worn out, and I have babyified it, and now I love it. which is really exciting. Also, my cover stitching has gotten a little bit neater, so progress has been made. And now it is time for the second part of this stretch sewing saga. I am making this off-the-shoulder top by Series Studios. I've never purchased one of their patterns before, so I'm pretty excited. And yeah, let's do this. I love putting together patterns for stretch sewing, guys. As if I only have these 2 pattern pieces. Where's the rest of my pattern? I love it. It took me like 10 minutes to piece together. I think the apples run right to the core. I spit the apples. For me, the jury is still out on whether this is a cute fabric. It's like kind of cool and it's kind of scary. It was on sale, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give you a go. I already have a strong suspicion that I'm not gonna have enough stretch in this fabric for this to be viable, which is kind of sad, but it's fine. It's just stash fabric. I didn't have a vision for it, I just thought it was cool. So we're just gonna give it a go. And if it doesn't work, I'll give it another go. With the right sides of the F1 front piece and B1 back piece facing each other, pre-stitch the shorter sides. Okay. Pull along the double stitching to create a scrunch along the top. Okay. They're coming back out here. Okay. I kind of feel like I'm going to get to the end of these steps and I'm just going to have some weird hodgepodge bundle of fabric, but it's not going to be this top. Doesn't feel like I'm doing things right. Kind of baffled by this pattern, to be honest. Between the instructions and the YouTube video, I just can't quite figure it out. Okay, I'm gonna give it a go. Feels wrong, but I don't know, man.
Stitch them together using a zigzag stitch.
Okay. It just feels wrong because it's wrong sides together, not right sides together, so I just can't like envision it working. And the video tutorial has this fabrication that's white on both sides, so it's really hard to tell if it's wrong sides or right sides on her garment. Mine is like really clear to see. I'm just making excuses for my incompetence. Well, I feel like I just broke about 17 different unspoken sewing rules. It looks like this. And now I'm just meant to pull it right sides out. I don't even know if that's possible for me anymore. At least if you're gonna make mistakes, I guess make them confidently, and then I can always come back and do better or something like that. I don't even know. Okay, it's just about perfect. Except for this part. It's not finished correctly, so that's interesting. Wow. Well, that went surprisingly well, I have to say. Everything turned out kind of beautifully, except for the fact that the front of the shirt is finished at the hem, and the back of the shirt is not finished at the hem. I don't really know where I went wrong, but I went wrong. The fabric that I bought is kind of ugly, and also it doesn't have enough stretch for this project, so I think I'm just gonna have to go to Spotlight, get a stretchier cotton, and give it one more go. Else I will never be satisfied, so yeah. This pattern was really interesting to make up because it is lined, but there are only 2 pattern pieces and they're just really long, and you kind of fold them in half and everything is sort of like a big burrito and you don't really see what you're doing until the end of the project. It was unusual but interesting. Just a heads up, if you wanted to make this pattern, I do think that it is beautiful and a lot of effort has gone into the pattern, but maybe the instructions were a little hard for me to follow specifically. I might just be a bit weird in the way that I read it, and maybe you'll be fine. But that's just a little heads up. In case you're like me, I struggled a little. Anyway, the sun is setting, which usually is a good sign for me to stop sewing and go on a walk. So that's what I'm gonna do. But tomorrow I'm coming back for the 3rd installment of the stretch sewing extravaganza. Well, hello and welcome to day 3 of stretch sewing. Today I'm working on the roving romper. As you already know, it's time to cut out my pattern. I am nervous and excited and scared. And that's all that needs to be said. Also, after this video, I really need to start working on my wedding dress, but now that I've just gotten more into stretch sewing, I just want to keep doing stretch sewing. Like, I need to do it until I'm really good at it. But it's just not the time nor place. I need to actually progress in my wedding dress. making. Do you know what I mean? There's just so much to learn, so many cute patterns, and there's not enough time in the day. No way. This is unreal, guys. I just realized that if you unselect every other layer, you can have just your layer of the pattern remaining in Adobe Reader or whatever it's called. I just printed out 17 different sizes and I was trying to cut it out accurately, and it was just really hard to figure out which line I needed. But if you go into layers, and this is in the free Adobe Acrobat Reader, you basically just go into layers, which is on the far right side, and then all of the layers of the PDF will come up if your pattern maker was so generous to do this thing. And then you can just deselect every size that you don't want. So I only have my size remaining. So good. I'm gonna reprint this and piece it together. Sorry trees, but this is incredible. Bam! It's the next day. I cut out my new pattern pieces, and I just have to say, printing with one layer, one size layer, incredible. Life-changing, mind-blowing. Everything is so clear. I love it. I wonder how many patterns I own that have this setting and I just never even knew about it. Crazy. Time to make this thing. Let's go! This pattern was so good to do after my last project because it comes with this little template which you put a 10 centimeter piece of your fabric on, and then you can stretch it to see what percentage stretch it has. A lot of stretch patterns I've learned have a certain amount of stretch percentage that you need in order to get the sizing right. And this one you need at least 50% stretch. So yeah, I cut out my little 10 centimeter piece of fabric and then you stretch it to see if it will be stretchy enough, which this is, which is awesome. Lesson learned, and I'm gonna keep this for future projects. I want my romper to be lined, so I have this really cool stretch cotton jersey for the mane, and then I have this sort of like activeweary, swimweary white lining. I don't know the makeup of either of these fabrications. I kind of just picked them by feeling them in the store, so that's going to be interesting. But basically I'm just going to base my mane to my lining fabric and then treat these as one, kind of like an interlining, and then of course I have the facings and I'll just sew everything as normal.
The pattern doesn't require that you use a lining. In fact, a lot of the sewists that I saw online seem to make their rompers with just one layer of fabric, and it looked fantastic, especially with the option of adding the shelf bra later on. But I'm so glad that I chose to line my piece. It gives me a little bit more snugness, a little bit more support, and I just like that I have that sort of confidence that the opacity of the fabrication is going to be at its fullest, bestest self when I'm doing squats and running and athletic activities. Anyway, after I machine basted those two pieces together, I just used my overlocker to construct the rest of the pattern, following the instructions like a good sewist.
I'm up to the part in the pattern where you add the elastic into the neckline, which is all good and well, except that I can't get the zigzag stitch to work on my domestic machine. I have a Janome DC6050. I have changed the needle, I've tried stretch, I've tried ballpoint, I have cleaned out all of the inners, all fluff and dust has been removed. I've tried different tensions, I've rethreaded. I can't think of something that I'm missing. It's quite annoying. I'm gonna give it a go on my industrial with the ballpoint needle and the straight stitch and see what that does. Otherwise, maybe I can just overlock the elastic on, or maybe cover stitch it on. I don't know, those seem weird somehow. I'm probably overthinking this, but I think I'm just a little bit disappointed that I can't seem to get my domestic machine doing a zigzag stitch on stretch material, which is one of the reasons that I bought it. I feel like I'm missing something.
I was missing something. I asked my Instagram followers for help because I really needed it, and they gave me some wonderful advice, which I wanted to share with you because it kind of changed my life. They said the biggest thing when you're sewing stretch in your domestic is using a great quality thread. And I was using a cheap quality thread. I subbed it in for some Gooderman, and it made all the difference. Literally took my stitch quality from being like 5% to 95%. Almost perfect. Definitely something that I would be happy with. They also said you should try different needles. Depending on what kind of stretch fabric you're working with, your machine just might want a different needle over another one. They recommended ballpoint, stretch, highly recommended was Microtex, and also the twin needle. So there's some options. I bought them all and I had to try them, but ultimately for me it was that thread quality that made all the difference. They actually said almost unanimously that the highest quality thread you can get, or like the industry standard, is a thread called Rascent thread, R-A-S-A-N-T. I'm yet to try it. I just bought some, so I'm really excited, and I can tell you that the difference is you can feel the difference between the two threads. So it's kind of exciting. Good intel. The only other thing that they recommended was trying a cool thread called Ceraflex or Maraflex, and this thread means that you can put it in your machine and you can use a straight stitch, and because it has some elasticity in it, you can sew stretch with the straight stitch. So that's interesting. I haven't bought that yet, but I am interested in trying. Yeah, if you have this issue with your domestic machine when you're sewing stretch, I hope that one of these problem-solving solvers solves your problem.
The straight stitch is a no-go. I think I'm just going to try and overlock it on. I feel so nervous. And apparently I'm just going to stretch this a tiny bit as I sew. Feeling really insecure about my sewing today. Just don't know what I'm doing. And that overlocking stitch worked with the elastic, but the underside was so bubbly, I just don't think it really enjoyed it. Maybe I'm just annoyed or something, because the pattern says sew the elastic on top of the main. So it's the elastic, the main, and then the facing, so that it will help the facing to roll over to the wrong side. But I did that, and mine is like rolling over very nicely to the right side. So it's like if I had done it the opposite way, it would have been perfect. But I thought I followed the instructions. Ah! It's fine. Do you know what I mean? I even understitched and it's just like, it looks like a binding. And I pressed it as well. I'm not sure if I can unpick rubber elastic. I hate making mistakes. I think that what I did then was wrong, but I'm going to persist, and then if it keeps rolling over to the front, I'm going to use my cover stitch machine to just top stitch it all down.
Use the burrito method to finish the armhole sections, and then I also added elastic to those seams. And guys, adding elastic to seams is such a superpower. Even though I was frustrated in this video, it's just like incredible. New skill unlocked. Thank you, elastic in the seams. Huge fan. I just flipped it right sides out, and now Carly's coming back to talk to you about sewing.
I'm going to sew the side seams down, so I'm going to do all of the facing side, and then it goes into the main part of the body. Kind of just is like a big, long, weird line. Okay, first match the corners, then the center back seam. Oh, I think she's just saying she wants the center back seam to run the right way. Yep. Yeah. Far out. The fit's really good. I've been way too dramatic with this, guys. That's the bodysuit. Ah! Okay, it's really good. I always do that. I set up the shot and then I walk back and then I'm like, you can't see anything. And then I have to set it up again. I'm so stupid. My room's just not quite big enough, but it's fine. Guys, not bad. I have been such a drama queen this whole time, but I just get really freaked out when I don't know what I'm doing confidently. Like for this one, and especially for the off the shoulder one, every single step I'm just going, I don't know, hopefully it's fine, and that hesitation just really builds up into this weird angst for me. But I think I just need to trust the process more, because this is okay. It's actually quite good. Okay, sorry. I'm just really excited because I would never be able to buy something like this. But it's quite cool if you can make it. Okay, so this actually is really supportive. Every time I make a pattern, I basically go through all of the photos in the hashtag of the pattern, and I see what every single person has as their notes about the pattern. And a lot of people said that there is enough support in this garment so that you don't need the shelf bra, but if you want to, because there's this facing, you can add a piece of elastic here and create a shelf bra. So I'm considering it right now because I'm feeling like it's comfy. If I added more support, maybe I could like, I don't know, it's kind of good though. I think I'll just leave it like nice and free. I feel crazy. I was so down in the dumps and now I'm like this. Yeah.
To finish everything off, I just basted my hem in place so that it would be easy for me to cover stitch it, and then I just cover stitched the hem down and basically called it a day.
Well, I just hemmed my romper and I also added some stitching along the neckline and the armholes just to keep the facing on the inside of the romper, and that means my romper is now complete. And so is my 3-project adventure into stretch sewing. Thanks for coming along on the journey with me. It was nerve-wracking. I'm still apprehensive about stretch sewing, but I think now that I've sort of gotten into it, I'm just going to keep doing a project every now and then to keep my confidence level growing. I think the next thing I want to make are undies and then a swimsuit, like a bikini or something like that. Sometimes learning can be a little challenging for me with sewing because I just want everything to go perfectly all of the time, even if it's my first time doing something, and that is not a particularly positive trait of mine. So I just have to remind myself that the first collection of projects that I do in the world of stretch sewing might be a little bit dodgy, but I'm just learning. I'm not creating the world's best garments. We're just figuring things out. I absolutely love these garments that I've created. The t-shirts are sick. I made 2 and I've been alternating them each day since I started this video. I love them. I'm gonna make more. Huge win. And the romper is a huge win. I really do love this piece. It feels extremely comfortable to wear. I'm really glad that I added a lining to it. I think I like that little extra feeling of security. For me personally, it has a fantastic amount of support without the shelf bra, but I love that that is there as an option. I'm definitely going to have to make it again with the shelf bra just so I can compare and contrast. And also, the elastic on the armholes and the neckline adds a lot of support. I'm very impressed by that technique and I will put it into my little pocket for future projects. I felt a little bit all over the place and frazzled making this video, so thanks for watching it. I appreciate you guys a lot, and as always, keep me up to date on your projects because I love to hear what you're all up to. And I think the next video surely has to be wedding related, so stay tuned. I don't think I can keep learning about stretch sewing when I have a gown to make. You know what I mean? Priorities. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.